included and treated fairly. It requires functioning institutions. It requires equal opportunities. It requires respect for future rights, and it requires access to justice. It also addresses the underlying causes of conflict, such as poverty, corruption, discrimination, political exclusion, unemployment, and unequal access to resources. Those are some of the underlying causes that should be understood when looking at reconciliation, particularly durable peace. When these root causes, next slide on healing. One of the first steps towards reconciliation is healing. Conflict affects people differently. Some lose family members, others lose homes. You lose education, you lose property, or you can lose even livelihoods. Many continue living with emotional trauma for many years. So healing begins when victims feel heard, respected, and supported. Professional counseling can help supporting survivors and reducing stigma. Healing strengthens people's ability to forgive, cooperate, and build their lives. Next slide is on trust. Trust is also one of the greatest casualties of conflict. People become suspicious of their neighbors, leaders, institutions, and even members of their own families. Rebuilding trust requires patience and requires consistency. So open dialogue creates understanding. Transparent leaders legally account through courts. Because when you offend, sometimes you go to court. And then if the court has decided, as the court has decided, you will be in a good faith. Restorative justice. Some of you listen to news when you heard the president talking about restorative justice. To acknowledge harm, apologize, compensate victims where possible, and restore community harmony. And then you have that there are many countries actually emerging from conflict combine these approaches through transitional justice. This includes criminal trials, group commissions, reparations, etc., which sometimes are offered, and community reconciliation programs. Building relationships, well, justice, if I can conclude on that, gives victims confidence that peace is based on fairness rather than silence. Next slide, building relationships. Reconciliation ultimately aims to rebuild relationships. People who once feared one another must learn to live together again. Dialogue encourages understanding. Education teaches tolerance, empathy, and respect for diversity. Young people should be taught peaceful ways of resolving disagreements. Religious leaders should encourage forgiveness. Traditional leaders preserve cultural values that promote harmony. Women groups often bring families together, and the youth can become ambassadors of people through sports, music, drama, and community service. So everyone has a role in building peaceful communities. Next slide, we should be on customary reconciliation practices, like the one we have in Mali here. Uganda possesses rich traditional systems of reconciliation. Among the Mali people here, one important reconciliation practice is known as policy kota. This traditional ceremony addresses serious disputes, including case involving bloodshed. When guilt is disputed, not accepted. Because most people don't accept guilt. So respected elders normally conduct oath-taking using spear grass as a symbolic way of establishing truth. They bring spear grass only together and let the two offending people hold the grass and then they cut it. The one who falls sick is considered to be the guilty person. So when reconciliation is reached.
Thank you very much, Professor. Your time, which is very good. You are giving your minutes. Now, I will do two things here. I will first re-summarize in a very simple way, and then I will also ask you to ask questions. If you have questions, those who select, you will ask another time. Those who are aware, and they follow, they will ask. Professor talked about peace. Repeat together with me, peace. Together, down there, please. Repeat. Now all of us together. Now, what is peace? That's the issue. Peace is where there is harmony based on justice, meaning giving each one what belongs to each one. Respect for the dignity of others, respect for the property of others, respect for the lives of others, and then respect also for the opinions and the freedoms of others. That is what peace is. But there are two types of peace. How many? Two. Repeat. How many? How many are they? Number one is positive peace. Repeat. Again. Positive peace is when the citizens are responsible for keeping law and order, where they protect each other. If you know there is a thief in the next village, you tell the police there is one here. Whereby if there is one who has long fingers, okay, those who we say in a very gentle language, they are experts in misappropriation of other people's property, okay? Instead of calling you a thief, we give you a very gentle name. The citizens make sure there is harmony among themselves. Whoever causes trouble, they don't keep quiet. They act. That is positive peace. They help the police. They help the law to be there. Like in the school, there must be positive peace in the school. Number two, there is negative peace. Say it again. Repeat. This is a peace which is imposed on the people. It's like now when you are in a class, you only keep quiet if you know the class teacher is around. Your silence is negative. Am I clear? Your silence is what? Because you are afraid the teacher is outside. If there are people who are thieves and they cannot steal because they know the police are around, so they look peaceful. That is not positive peace. It is negative what? Peace. Now, the durable peace is talking about. The durable peace is where it is positive peace, where everybody is responsible. Am I clear? Everybody is what? Responsible. And they are able to solve issues by themselves. They are able to let it go and to say, let us create harmony in the society. That is, in brief, in few words, what the professor was was said. Now, if you want more, you can read the slides. But this is brief so that you can be able to understand. Does anybody have a question? Please don't be shy.
You put up your hand and we'll give you the microphone.
Don't be shy.
Microphone on my left. Okay, there's a hand here. This is Wani Joshua. Yes. How can he have positive peace?
Positive peace, first of all, you respect yourself, you respect others also. Okay? So that your respect for others, the property of others, is not because you are afraid that if they catch you, they will take you to prison. But you respect because it does not belong to you. It is part of what justice is all about. Respecting others, respecting their property, respecting their image, and respecting what belongs to them. Have you heard? Have you heard? Okay, next one.
Another one? Hello, girls.
How are we supposed to avoid negative peace?
By moving away from it, because negative peace, as I told you, you are only peaceful because you are afraid. I gave you a practical example. You are in the class, and you are one of the loudest, more than any radio station around. But you only keep quiet in the class, either because the prefect is around, the class teacher is around, or the principal is around. Your silence is a negative one because you are keeping quiet out of fear. Am I clear? You are not convinced. Are you? You are not what? Convinced. But now, when you realize that when I'm in the class, I'm supposed to study. I'm supposed to give others time to study. You are supposed to focus. That's already positive. Are we clear? That's already what? Positive. So negative is you are doing certain things out of fear. You are afraid that you can be punished. But when you are convinced that it's the right thing to do, it is for your benefit, then you are already living positive peace. So you move from negative to the what? To the positive. I don't know what I've clarified or still too far. Don't be afraid to repeat the same question until you are clear. Anybody else? Anyway, it is fun time now. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. How can we do? Catherine, you're preparing to go to university next year, so be mindful of that. We thank you so much, our facilitator and the discussant who has made it very simple, top notch. You are able to appreciate that there should be peace and there shouldn't be negative one. Also, thank you. Do we have fun time or we go for a break? Hey, chakula. Okay. All right. We shall have a fun time to laugh together. Hold up. Tuko pamoja. Tuko pamoja. Ama tualo. Ama tualo. Maria tualo. Let's continue clapping. Let's put our hands together for our visitors, for our facilitators. Thank you so much for being good students, for always loving, for always being caring. We have have been finished. Boys behind, clap, 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 shake, 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 shake. Thank you, you can go for break.
basing on the theme of this peace convention. So stay blessed as you listen. They say poverty is not the empty pots. Poverty is the empty heart that the pot leaves behind. When people choose rich, they plant the seeds of conflicts. But when we choose forgiveness, we plant the seeds of peace. Once upon a time, there lived a very beautiful village named Meto. They sat in the shadows of mountains where children danced and laughed. In that village, there was a woman named Sarah. Sarah had one room, one naked roof, and one son whose name was called Musa. Musa was 14 years old. Musa would come back from school and say, Mommy, today I made friends, I ate here, but I got 100% in maths. Musa had a dream to become a teacher. He would say, Mama, I will buy for you a mattress so that your back stops aching. In that small family, they lived a peaceful life. But the entire community of Metu lived with the past conflicts in their hearts. Children no longer cross boundaries. Mothers don't share their stories just because of a conflict that happened 2 years ago. It separated families, turned neighbors into strangers. And this made the entire community of Metu to forget that they were once family. It was on a dark, rainy day of Tuesday when Musa fell seriously sick. His mother carried Musa in her arms, running from doors to doors, asking for help. Please, my sister, open the door. I cannot lose my son. People shut doors in her face because the people were still buried by the conflict of last year's time. By the time hope arrived, it was already too late. Musa looked at the mother with tears in his eyes and said, Mama, please forgive them. Do not let my death be another reason for hatred in my community. Let my life be remembered as a bridge that builds peace, but not as a wall of hatred. That night, the entire Metu community was silent. Musa's mother still flew in the river, and hatred splitted. At the burial, the father preached and said, forgiveness does not erase yesterday. It only gives tomorrow a chance. And the local council wine stood up and said, my dear people of Metu community, we cannot solve this conflict if our hearts are still burnt in last year's conflicts. So let us forgive one another. So Musa's mother was called to give a speech. But before she could present, Musa appeared to her and said, Mama, why is your pot still empty? Fill it with happiness. Fill it with forgiveness so that we all eat peace. It was a very hard decision for the mother to make. The mother walked in the middle of the mourners. She opened her mouth and said, my dear people of Metu, today I lost a son just because of the conflict that we were burying last years ago. I stand before you with nothing, no money, no food, no son, but only an empty pot. And the only thing it carries is forgiveness. The entire Metu community looked at each other in surprise. They all cried and remembered all the peace they used to share. And from that day, each and every one let go of the past and the ones to consult. And when the children asked the elders, that my dear elders, how was peace brought in Metu community? The elders would smile and say, faith, open our hearts. The communities brought us together and the leaders show us the path. But of all, reconciliation was the key to all this. So today I ask you, what is empty in your hearts? Is it your pockets? Or it's your hearts? My dear brothers and sisters, before God called us, let us not leave behind a generation of inheritance hatred. Let us forgive. Let us let go of the past. Today, Because reconciliation is not about erasing the past, but giving tomorrow a chance. For peace is not the absence of conflict, but it's us to make sure that conflict does not win in our hearts. Let us choose peace always for God and my country.
And we clap for Lady Super. I don't know what you can't. Reconciliation and peace in the mental village. Thank you so much for that composition. A mighty hand clap for that team. I think what you have just done resonates so well. Makofi. Now everyone innocent, you're not clapping. Good. Yes. And Sister will be presenting. The person who will lead in the discussions or question session will be Professor Faustino L. Orachi-Meza, PhD. We welcome the team. They are a perfect pair that will.
So, good.
Introducing you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, our next presentation will be guided by none other than Sister Dominic, Professor Dipio, who has been introduced to us as the missionary sister of Mary, Mother of the Church, and a distinguished professor of literature and film at Makerere University. And she has, as our recorders will eventually give us, a very rich curriculum vitae, which I'm not going to go through because of time limitation. It's quite wide. But her current interest is adapting African folk tales into animations, films, to make the rich African values embedded in African indigenous knowledge. So with that few remarks, I would like to present to you Professor Sister Dominica. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Professor. And I stand on the protocol already established. But before I begin to speak, I want to say that, and I want you to give her a real applause. It makes me feel very proud that there is some very good thing happening here in St. Thomas Aquinas. Nonetheless, I will go through my presentation and I would like to have conversation with her later. So the topic I've been asked to present is the arts, a component of culture that inspires peace. Perhaps in the course of my presentation, I will not mention the name peace often, just like Gladys' presentation shows. But at the end of this presentation, I hope you will be in position to understand and know that indeed the arts are about peace and peace building. This is the outline of some of the things that I hope you will have appreciated by the end of this presentation. I will be basic to not assume that we know what culture is and how culture is related to tradition and how culture and arts are really embedded. You cannot talk of one and exclude the other. And then, of course, I will also talk about how the arts are very much related to religion and how sometimes, look at what Stephanie has just presented, the values of forgiveness, the kind of things you hear in church are delivered to us through art. So we will look at some of those connections between the two. And then, of course, I will go down, since this is an educational institution, the place of the arts today, how unfortunately sometimes it is marginalized when it should never be marginalized, because it is the other side of what is commonly talked of today, which is the STEM. And then, of course, the AI thing that I had you talk about. I had somebody called AI here this morning, so we will see what this AI has to do with the arts and culture in the course of. And finally, I want to show you that I also practice art and culture, and in the last segment of my presentation, I want to show my film, which is taken from this community just as a show that we can actually turn our culture into art, art that gets recognized globally, art that ends up also giving you money and material. Those are the values that guide us. Why should we behave this way and not the other? These are things that you cannot touch, but they inform how you relate with people. We will see them concretely shortly. And then, they are actually things that are passed from generation to generation. So in the course of the discussion, I want you to ask, what traditional culture of yours? So there you see the tangible and the intangible cultural heritages are embedded. But also in this artifact, you see art. Art is inside there. It's not just a random production. Now I want to bring something closer to you who are Mali here. We have another material here. Another UNESCO heritage artifact. If you don't know that you are holding the traditional instrument, it's such a great musical instrument that has been recognized globally as an artifact that should be protected, not just because of its, unique artistic endeavor to produce it, but also intangibly, it does something good to the people. It's recognized as an artwork that has a way of bringing people together. I can tell you myself that when I was little, my uncle used to play the odi, and whenever he was coming home to my mother's home, I would run and pick the odi and shake it kitchen like this and hand it to him, and he plays that music that gives you a sense of joy that is not measurable. That's why its ability to get people together and make you feel a certain joy and peace in your heart is very important. Now again, I'm giving you an example of what we refer to as both a material cultural project and immaterial cultural product. Look at those hats. You can see here, one of these hats is not from Uganda, not from Mali, but I do remember a time also the Mali used to construct hats and decorate it so very colorfully. You hardly find this here today. But that art, which is embedded on the architectural design of their round hat, a traditional heritage that is supposed to be continued as we develop. Look at the beauty of the round hat. This is not Uganda, this is Uganda, Mali. But the issue now I'm asking is what value is there among Africans? When you go across the world, you find many Africans construct round hats. Why? That is now where you're going to get the intangible value. That in this architectural design, it's not just random, but because African sense of communal belonging, of sharing, is expressed perfectly by roundness. So we build our houses round, our pots are, the feminine structures are round because they are really harmonious, peace-building components. So nothing in our culture, material culture, is empty. It carries value, and it is supposed to be continued to define who we are as we develop. Okay, now I want to again define another word which is so closely related: culture and tradition. These are two words that are related, and sometimes they are used interchangeably. But I want to make an effort to make a distinction between them. Tradition usually is a specific aspect of culture, like you say, marriage tradition, naming tradition. Whereas when you talk of the culture, it's more encompassing, it's more inclusive of so many things, including this specific item. Secondly, tradition usually is something of the past, but it has a connection to present culture. Whereas culture is usually, for me, what I define as the nowness, the present, the lived experience, which carries some things of the past, but also has something of the now, which speaks from other communities. So, progress happens when this thing from the past, which is a little more rigid, that is tradition, is mixed with the current, the present, the one that is more revolving and never static. You hear this thing that culture is not static, culture is always evolving, because it is cognizant, it is aware of the present, which is changing naturally, but it is also changing on the axis of the past. That is a real good culture. It doesn't abandon its past. Is poetry, performance, you had here, speech, oratory. Super Gladys has just done this right here before us. And it's a very, very important component of the art because it gives birth to also other arts. All the other art forms start with thought. It starts with word. It starts with concept. And then of course the other one is dance. You've seen my colleagues here, our children dance for us. That's an art form. And of course music is another art form all in itself. And of course painting is another one. I put this one here because this is one of my favorite arts in the Vatican. And when I was a student, we were told to move around and pick an art form and write about it. Just to say that a piece of art like this embodies so much communication. I wrote about this art, 5 pages of just that art. That means a piece of art like this can have so much. This artist, a famous artist called Michelangelo, painted a space called the Sistine Chapel, where people go in their thousands every day to go and experience that art. And because the ceiling is painted, sometimes you just go with a mirror like this, reflect and sit here. Great work. So art, and it's a cultural work. The Christian. Now, another one here is architectural art. Many times when we structure our education system these days, people put architecture and technology, and so it becomes STEM. Well, architecture also belongs to art, because those of you who will do architecture in the university in the near future, you will realize that there is a lot of artistic impressions and conceptualizations before you go and construct that beautiful bridge, before you go and construct that beautiful chapel, or whatever it is, that will be a physical thing. So inside it, there is art. Another architectural design here that I put for you, this is an architecture, a monument that represents Mother Nature. I think it's Canada. It's put there at the time to say our environment is in danger. Let's create this to give a sense of how Mother Earth is crying. A piece of art whoever passes around, something is evoked about my responsibility towards the environment. So you find their art preaching without saying a word, in a sense. Okay? Yeah, and then of course the seventh art is the cinema art, which is also referred to as an art, a seventh art, because it includes all the other arts. It includes words, literature, it includes architecture, it includes, it is all the arts together embedded in it. So the spectrum is here for you to think what art you can practice, whether you are a scientist as it is poorly defined, or an artist as it's poorly defined, because these two things will not really be separated, in my view. So one of the things about art then is the primacy of the imagination, that you use the imagination, you speak to the present and the past using your imagination, and a good art must have a sense of enduring forever, that whoever sees it now in this place can also replicate the value of it in another place. So from this perspective, you see art's role is automatically to unite people, because it's not limited to a particular culture. It may derive from here, but when it presents its message transcends individual cultures and location, because its meaning is really dense. Lastly here, I want to say something about how artists in all over the world are attributed as sharing a godlike quality. They're also referred to as creators. God is the master creator, but the artists too are creators. And I want to bring you now to very important theories that will make you place your art and its role in society. These theories are very consumable, never mind the names of the people who did it. One of them is this Englishman, a poet and an art critic, who says something about art as very, very important. Art is an individual talent. Not everybody can claim to have artistic ability. It is a gift given to us, that thing called talent. But this talent, even if it's given for you, this man here says, it must sit on the tradition. I'm saying this because today there are so many quick ways of creating and making art, because we are also aided by technology, and we produce art that does not last long because it's not sitting on the values of the tradition. So to speak, the artist has to go to the past and study what, because every art is supposed to be produced within the cultural locus context before it becomes important. You cannot produce great art for the world when it's not also important and well received within your context. So you should first go to your past, get to know what is it, how do people express this concept, how can I mix it with my present and my talent to produce something that can be good for now. talking about the connection between art and the past is Okot Pabitek. You know Okot Pabitek, right? Song of Lawino, right? Alright. So in Song of Lawino, Okot Pabitek says this, just to warn us that the excitement of the present, the excitement of modernity, of the need to change, should not make us forget the past. The famous quote about do not forget the pumpkin in the old homestead is very important. Go to your past, draw what is from there, and move forward. Another significant African spirituality symbol is this one, famously known as the Sankofa, to say, as we progress and move forward, we should never forget the past. Look back, just like this bird, whose head is turned behind to pick something important from our culture, from our tradition, in order to build a modern culture. So I'm emphasizing this because I see a real danger of people not remembering their past and running on what looks like bling, 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 and seems exciting development. It's empty. Look at all the other, countries of the world that you can say they are building on their culture. Every art, every form builds on culture. The next part here for me is also how religion, which is the kind of thing religion gives people. So that is how serious good art is. But also there can be bad art. Bad art divides people. Good art unites people. You had someone say this before me, and it was said long ago by some people, like this man you are seeing here. You create art that brings people together, you are making good art. You create art that creates contention, you are not making good art. And this being St. Thomas Aquinas, and we being mostly drawing from our roots, I want to make reference to some of our popes who have boldly affirmed the importance of the arts, and they have done things to ensure that the arts, especially today, when they seem to be marginalized, are brought back to the center, because that is where the humanizing element of who we are is. And Pope Francis says this, the artist is not even limited in space, because beauty can touch in every person that which is universal, especially the thirst for God, overcoming the frontiers of language and culture. So, tell me, what did you feel when this lady presented to us here? So, you have to be very attentive to your artistic moves that are there. Don't suppress it, and parents, don't let your kids suppress their artistic abilities, because technology is the thing. But I'm saying that in technology there is so much art. Without art it cannot move. And so people are waking up to the realization that instead of emphasizing STEM, now the emphasis is to put STEM as art, which stands for art. Because you cannot have STEM, because although STEM also has qualities that the arts do, people tended to have misunderstood it, so they have deliberately brought art in there to see that the technologies we destroy are not going to destroy our humanity. And as I've been one of time, I want to make a comment on the issue of AI. Again, very, very important. AI in relation to art, because today our Pope again says something very, very, very important about artificial intelligence, which has come to us as a gift, and especially we artists. It is destroying, if we are not careful, it's going to destroy our creativity and our ingenuity. AI does amazing other things that facilitates your productivity, and we can't avoid it. But when it comes to issues of ethics, how are you going to locate your dependence and use of artificial intelligence, especially for the creative artists? The talk that it makes work easy is what everybody is talking about. But the Pope is also alerting us the value of work. This is something that is given by God. We must work. Don't let, the ease of things take it away. It's destroying your ingenuity. It is destroying your creativity. Use it objectively in a way that it can make you still control. Don't lose control in the face of AI. So it must serve the common good. This is very important. I was in Zanzibar and in Ghana just a week or so before I came here, and the talk all over is AI. And Africans are beginning to say, whose interest is AI serving? Are we? So what I'm saying is, our technological advancement, and you are the people who are going to move these things in future as we phase out, should be something that takes care of the common good. How well are we located to say that we now need AI? I know that most of the universities, I sat in one for my own university, to craft AI policies. But this AI, where does it sit with us? Where is our material online as Africans? Because it picks data that we feed. Have we fed our culture? Have we fed our knowledge there so that it can pick and replicate it for us? Most likely we haven't. So whose interest is it serving? We should be asking critical questions as we take our time, I think, to address it. Because I hear Kenya tried to have it, African countries are trying to compete that we would like to be the first to do this. They tried. But I was told in one of these fora that I attended that it almost took all the electricity that would be needed for the city. So are we prepared? So good things, but let us embrace it with caution. Finally, you have no time to watch this. Otherwise, this is a segment that is okay. I want to show you this because I want to show you that you can turn your indigenous knowledge into something that
Alright, I'm going with my friends to mine in Aquinas. go to collect firewood in the nearby bushes. And you, Leah, accompany your friends as they go to the stream to fetch water. I know you're a headstrong girl who likes doing things her own way, but I'm warning you. Never to go to the well alone. Clear? Yes, ma'am. Good girls. I'm off. Be good. Okay, girls? Yes, ma'am. All right.
Leah, are you there? We are off to the stream. Don't complain later that we did not call you. This is good. I will not have to go to the stream twice. You have done it again. You left me even today. We thought you would let our come in. We called you in vain. You over there, huh? If you can hear me, come and help me lift this pot onto my head. Here I am. I can help you, little girl. Oh, I thought you were a little girl. Your voice sounded so light.
I am Origa, the ironsmith who lives in there. Do you want me to help you?
Oh, yes. Thank you, Origa. What is this? Get off my back.
I will not get off. I am so comfortable.
Please, down before you reach home.
No, I won't get off. I didn't know a little girl's back would be so comfortable. I will not get off. And remember, you are the one who pulled me from down the street.
You are weighing me down. I can hardly walk. Please, Origa. Okay. Could you at least come off? Just to help me lift down the pot. Then you could get back if you wish.
No. I will not come off. You have to put down the pot with me on your back.
Origa, let me advise you as a friend. You helped me at the stream. I want to help you back.
How can you help me, little girl with soft flesh?
My father, Tata, genuinely. Then you should be aware that he is such a dangerous man when it comes to protecting his daughters. He is about to get back home. Better leave before he arrives. Me, I don't want you to die.
I am not afraid of your father. I am not afraid of anyone.
Please, listen and save yourself before Tata kills you.
Little girl, I will not give up you